Hello everyone, welcome to another cast from the StarCraft 2 ladder. This is Singularity, playing here as the red Zerg, and my opponent is OriginalFake, playing up here as the blue Zerg, over here on Shakuras Plateau. Now since this is on the ladder, this is the updated version of the map that has no backdoor rocks, and that has the gas geysers moved from down here to up here, and likewise on the other side. Now, I think I did this cast a couple weeks ago, and that it didn't record or something like that. And I know I haven't gotten around to doing these casts in a little bit, and that's entirely my fault, and I apologize for it. So I'm going to try to catch up with this again. Now, OriginalFake did an extractor trick right here to get to his 11th drone with 10 supply, and right away send this drone out to scout. Now, worth noting that on Shakuras Plateau you can't actually spawn, you can't have your opponent spawn directly above or below you. So in OriginalFake's case, I couldn't spawn down here, and he could not spawn up here. Because this is actually a 2 versus 2 map, or originally was, which was kind of half the point of the destructible rocks, I imagine, was to let the allies get to one another. Now, this is going to be another kind of lesson video. I'm not going to tell you what that lesson is just yet, but you'll probably have a good idea once you see it. Now, OriginalFake is actually going for a 14 pool. I went for a 15 hatchery. So we're going against, we're seeing two fairly different openers. One is a much more aggressively economic build. The other one has more potential for early pressure. Now, I've seen this, and I'm well aware that it's coming, but I know that I can only put my spawning pool up so fast, and I'd already had my hatchery down. He knows that the hatchery is coming, which is kind of bad news for me, because frankly the early pressure is exactly what I don't want to see when I'm doing this. So at this point, frankly, there's not a whole lot going on. He's spreading his overlords around, which is actually a really good thing to be doing. Something I really got to get used to doing as well. And well, he's still got his the scout in my base, just running circles around the hatchery and putting a whole bunch of waypoints, which is always another good thing to do. However, he does have Zerglings getting ready to eat a scout. Mine already left because I knew that it'd be about the same. Although it's interesting that he didn't have more than 2 Zerglings out until just now. However, he is getting metabolic boost. He did get just enough, well, he tried to get just enough gas to get that, and then put his workers back on minerals. So I'm expecting a lot of banelings. I'm expecting a lot of Zerglings. I say banelings because I saw the baneling nest coming up. I'm expecting a lot of Zerglings. I hit the tower, and sure enough, I can see this little string of Zerglings coming in. But I've only got as many Zerglings as he does, and one of them's on the tower down here. And naturally, the way I set this up, this guy is obviously going to get there first. Now I lose a few drones. His Zergling speed just finishes, and I got one Zergling that just kind of got ahead of himself there and got killed. Well, because he didn't actually set all his Zerglings to attack, he ended up losing them because one of them was damaged. However, he's now sending constant streams of Zerglings, which is pretty well what you see all the time on the ladder these days anyway. You know, Zerg versus Zerg is just early speedlings and continue eternally until the other player dies. I mean, more than half the games, Zerg versus Zerg, this is what you'll see from both players. Well, I decided to get my baneling nest because I figured that was going to happen. So I'm doing my best to take down these Zerglings, or at least distract them long enough to to be able to do something with this Baneling. And of course, I'm letting my drones get butchered, but then his Zerglings attacked the Baneling, killed the Baneling, and basically kamikaze. But now he's got more. It just doesn't stop. But however, I had a whole bunch on the way as well, because I wanted to make more Banelings. And apparently I had more than he did, so we got that going on. Now he was basically just making constant Zerglings. He did actually make an expansion during that time, which is good because, well, eventually this can just stop working with this whole speedling thing. And sure enough, at this point, he would be hard-pressed to get the speedlings to continue working properly. He could keep on constant pressure, but unless he did a random tech switch partway through that, it wouldn't work out so well. Simply because I have Banelings, and those can take out any number of Zerglings unless they're microed very, very well. Now I know I'm playing catch-up, because at this point... Sorry, I forgot to take this down. At this point... Oh, okay, I figure I'm playing catch-up, because I figure that by now he's got to have a lot more harvesters than me. And, well, it's a good idea that for him to put down that Baneling nest, because he's still got mass speedling. I send one Zergling in just to say, hello, what's going on over here? Zergling speed finished just as he got there, but that's a lot of Zerglings, and I saw it. I decided, hey, I have an idea. I'm gonna go say that I'm gonna do the same thing once more, but this time I'm gonna say hello with a Baneling. Well, here's the thing. Zerglings have 35 hit points and are light. Banelings do 35 damage to a light unit. This means that without upgrades, Zerglings die in a single hit to a Baneling. And considering the area effect on a Baneling's attack, that can lead to a lot of dead Zerglings very, very quickly. Now I see this, he notices that he doesn't react fast enough, and look at all those Baneling kills. Zergling kills. That's half his force just died, but he does have a lot of Zerglings on the way. And he's keeping an eye open to make sure that I don't expand here or here. Meanwhile, his expansion down here just finished. So at this point, he's back to trying to apply pressure. I see the Zerglings over here on the creep. I want to try to keep my Banelings away from them, because there's only a few of them. Of course, he has other ideas, but I get them far away that the Zerglings are able to take care of his Zerglings. Now I know he has a lot more than that little force. He was just checking what I had. Or so I imagine. Now at this point I'm spreading the creep despite the speedlings because, well, I want the vision. And the vision is more valuable than the movement speed. Frankly, I can deal with the movement speed if I know what's coming ahead of time. And that's why even in a Zerg versus Zerg, and I can't stress this enough, that's why I'll always spread the creep. Now he's got a few Zerglings kind of running around, just checking things out. He's actually going for Zergling attack upgrade, level 1. And, well, melee attack upgrade level 1. And honestly, if you're going to be making this many Zerglings and Banelings, there's no reason not to. Now I noticed that he had a Zergling down at this tower. I noticed that my Zergling took it out. And I thought maybe the same thing happened up here because I didn't actually look and see that there was actually 2 Zerglings, not 1. So I lose all the vision that I had just gained. I'm making Zerglings myself because I know that there's going to be a whole bunch soon enough. He's also getting Baneling speed. Mine will be completed in just a moment. But by getting the melee attack upgrade, one very important thing happens. He ensures that no amount of armor upgrades that I can get will ever prevent a Baneling from killing a Zergling in a single hit. Because it goes from 35 to 39 damage. So even with plus 3 armor, the Zergling will still die in a single hit. And that's something that's very important to remember. Those upgrades, sometimes just 1 is all you need. That said, you need a level 2 upgrade to kill a drone in 1 hit. but once you get to that point, the same effect applies. So getting a level 2 upgrade, unless you're facing Hydralisks and such, is usually good enough for your Banelings. In a Zerg versus Zerg matchup, anyway. So at this point, he's building so many Zerglings and Banelings. I figured, take another look. He realized he'd spread his creep to there, and had a huge number of Zerglings and Banelings, just like every other Zerg versus Zerg game. I'm in the middle, or I'm at the beginning rather, of trying to set up an eventual tech switch to roaches, to mass roaches. Okay, now I'm really in the middle of it. Got a whole bunch of them building up. I'm also getting some infestors, because I know that a group of Zerglings like this will not be very happy when the infestors show up. So those two Banelings ended up being somewhat of a flop, because when he sent out those two Zerglings, well, yeah. Now by placing the infestors up here, I figure if he passes his Zerglings through this area, I can just nab them with a fungal growth, which will prevent much of anything that he could do. Now I knew what happened with two Banelings. I figured maybe with a few more I'd be able to get better results. Now I know that in this area he doesn't have any units, because I am holding the tower here. So I'd come run these Banelings in here and notice, oh, that is a lot of Banelings. That is a lot of +1 of 0, 1, or 1, 0, I guess. Technically, if you attack one Banelings. Now, at this point, when I see this, I'm thinking, what in the world? That is a lot of Banelings. And they're all just running in single file. I want to get the roaches out of here. I don't want them to see that. The fungal growth is I figured, my best bet to stop them. Well, sure enough, if I'd stopped maybe one more of them, I would have saved that hatchery. And I see this as my opportunity to just charge in with these roaches that I've been building up. Now, I only now think to get any of the upgrades, but that's not so bad. Right now, my tech is actually very specifically counter to his. Banelings and roaches against Zerglings. I've also got infestor support, which is something that he's distinctly lacking. Now he got his infestation pit just to tech to hive. That way he could get Zergling attack speed, I imagine. Now I'm sending in these Banelings, and he's really trying very hard to prevent me from doing any kind of damage. But the fungal growth on the Zerglings, the fungal growth on the roaches shooting all over the Zerglings. Now would be a good time to do something other than Zergling, because it's going to take quite a lot of Zerglings, and the roaches will do a lot of damage in that amount of time. But at this point, he stuck to those Zerglings a little too long already, and he's still pushing Zerglings and Banelings. Now Banelings, okay, 24 damage is nothing to laugh at, but considering that it's a suicide unit, it's not the most effective use of your Banelings. I mean, I'm trying to get these Banelings away from the rest, and not only here remember, oh wait, I can fungal growth them and it kills them. Fungal growth deals 36 damage. Banelings have 30 hit points. Results predictable. You bunch up the Banelings, and the infestors will just stop you from doing any damage whatsoever. Furthermore, the Banelings just are no good against roaches because they're armored, so they don't take that increased damage. Like here, they all splashed all over these roaches here, damaged 2 of them badly, and killed 1. At the cost of what? 12 Banelings or something? Now at this point, yeah, I ran in that one single baneling, killed off half his remaining Zerglings, and now the roaches just run in and finish everything off. At that point, he can tell that there's just no way he's going to win, and he just leaves. At this point, he had time to do something other than Zerglings and Banelings, which is what he needed to do in order to beat off these roaches. But he stuck to the Zerglings and Banelings till the bitter end, and it cost him. It cost him the game. Most Zerg will not actually do much more after they've done that initial Zergling push because they expect that to win them the game. I was prepared in case he ran in a whole bunch more Zerglings, as you can see. Sure, they may not have been upgraded, but he didn't have any armor upgrades. He was no armor, 2 attack. He was getting the 3rd attack right away. It's just no good against a mass roach army, though. So Zerg players, if that initial push fails, start aiming toward a tech switch. Doesn't matter what side of the coin you're on. If the initial push fails and you're able to repel it, go for a tech switch to something that's more effective against Zerglings. If that initial push fails, well, your Zerglings aren't going to do a whole lot more good by themselves, or even with Banelings most often. So you're going to want a tech switch. I mean, even just adding infestors would have made a huge difference in this fight. Because, well, for a while he was up on bases. He had the resource advantage, and he could have afforded the infestors.